Hey, I'm Miranda. I'm in a happy and jovial mood because it's Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth. Do you know what Juneteenth is? Let me help you. The 19th of June is the day that we celebrate the freedom of Black folks in the United States. I love Juneteenth. My kids and I, we celebrate it every year. We woke one another up with Happy Juneteenth this morning. I am even happy despite the fact that this is what I saw on my Facebook feed this morning. He makes me tired, but I'll address that later. I have too much yummy goodness to share with you this morning. Today I'm going to talk to you about what Juneteenth is, how we celebrate it, and how everyone can be included. And we are going to ignore Trump all day. I think that should be part of the celebration. So let's get into it. To understand Juneteenth, you need to know three very important dates in American history. The first is the most famous, the 4th of July, 1776. It's the day that we commemorate our freedom and independence from British rule. But you have to remember that Black folks were not free that day. We were still enslaved. Now, this next date is almost as internationally famous as the 4th of July, the 1st of January, 1863. It's the date the Emancipation Proclamation went into effect. It was a presidential proclamation and executive order declaring all slaves in the Confederacy free. This is important to know because on the 1st of January 1863, we were technically free, but several of the Confederate states refused to release their slaves. I'm not going to go too in depth because it's not the focus of today's video, but you need to know that as President Lincoln didn't have the power to free the slaves in all the states. That had to be done with an amendment of the Constitution. But what he could do as Commander-in-Chief of our armed forces during wartime, the Civil War, is order all the slaves freed in the Confederacy and then enforce that with our armed troops. It's very clever the way he did it. It was a loophole. Now back to the main focus of the video. Here's what else you need to know. The Emancipation Proclamation was declared, but the Confederate States didn't release their slaves. It took the armed forces going through the Confederate States to force them to do so. They did this by spreading the word out and amongst the Black folks. You are legally free. You don't have to stay here. But as of 1865, Texas was still a stronghold of slavery. They just wouldn't let their slaves go. Hence, Juneteenth. On June 19th, 1865, over 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, Union General Gordon Granger announced in Galveston, Texas, that the Civil War was over, that enslaved African Americans were free. They made it a point to spread this information where Black folks could hear it, to ensure that people knew they were free. And it didn't hurt that there was an intimidating number of armed troops ready to enforce this. Therefore, Juneteenth is the day that we celebrate our freedom and independence. You also need to know that about 6 months after General Granger announced our freedom in Texas, Congress ratified the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, mostly abolishing slavery in the United States. And I'll tell you, the 19th of June has been celebrated ever since. We've been celebrating it since 1866, a year after it happened. It was known amongst the freed slaves as Black Independence Day, Freedom Day, and Jubilee Day. Now you might be wondering, how is June 19th celebrated, you asked? How do we commemorate this wonderful day? Let me tell you. In addition to barbecues and parties, we have music festivals and parades. And just like on the 4th of July, there are sales. Black-owned brands have good sales. However, it's not just a day for parties, it's a day for activism and awareness. There are marches and protests highlighting the need for social equality for all marginalized peoples. Not just Black people, all of us. We're seeking unity and equality for everyone. It's clear to see this is not just a grassroots holiday or celebration. People knew about it, and large companies have started to take notice. Even influential companies like Twitter and Nike are beginning to acknowledge Juneteenth. They're giving it as a paid holiday. Despite not being a federal holiday, 47 states recognize Juneteenth in one way or another. Now, some of them just commemorate the day. Some of them are official state holidays. Only 3 states fail to recognize it. Are you not Black, but you want to join us in all this yummy Juneteenth goodness? Come on in, the water's fine. On the surface, Juneteenth is a celebration to freedom, but it's also a call to action. Don't just come to your Black friend's barbecue and eat our delicious food. We need you to be an ally. Join us in protests. Donate to organizations that seek equality. Please share charming and informative content. If you need a resource to get you started, hellajuneteenth.com is fantastic. They have links and articles to help you advance yourself as an ally, or you can protest, or you can donate, or whatever you can do to help the cause. Oh, and I'll put a link to Hella Juneteenth in the description box so you can find it. Now let's address this. It is fair enough that there are a lot of people who did not know about Juneteenth. I understand that. This kind of history is not taught in schools. It's not often discussed in the news. How would you know? But it is unfair of President Trump to say nobody knew about it. Millions and millions of black folks knew about it. And lots of non-black folks knew about it too. It's not like we're the only ones celebrating it. The music festival in Denver, it's celebrated by everyone. I think what Trump is saying is the people that he cares about, the people that he knows, the people that are important to him, they didn't know about it. And he was surprised to find out about it, even though the White House issued a statement about it last year. I'm not going to argue about it. You know my mantra when it comes to arguing with people who have no interest in listening to the facts. So instead, I will just say this. If you're one of those people who argues that we need to preserve history, that it's important to have statues and monuments commemorating events, you should be helping us celebrate Juneteenth. You should be arguing for monuments and statues to be erected. You should be arguing for it to be a state and national holiday all across the United States. You should be celebrating with us. We need you. Well, folks, I'm very proud to be celebrating Juneteenth today, and I hope that you find a way to celebrate too. You can celebrate today or tomorrow or the next day. You can celebrate and help lift up Black people every day of the year. It doesn't have to just be on Juneteenth. Thanks again for listening to me. Those of you who watch my videos regularly know how important this is for my mental health. I need to share all the things that are rattling around in my head and hopefully give you a deeper understanding of me and other Black people. I'm trying. I'll chat to you soon. Bye.